Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Grown Man's Diary. I'm your host, Bradley, and thank you so much for tuning in today. If you are a returning listener, thank you for your continued love and support. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome and thank you for being a part of today's important conversation and for giving me the opportunity to share with you some of my experiences dealing with mental illness while trying to just navigate everyday life. As someone who has experienced multiple different traumatic events throughout my life, from being badly bullied throughout the early years of my educational career, elementary and middle school specifically, to battling cancer for 4.5 years throughout high school, and now as an adult living with the mental health ramifications of those events, I have found my passion in fighting to normalize conversations regarding mental health and illness throughout our everyday lives, while also hopefully helping those of you out there hurting feel not so alone. I'm also extremely dedicated to shining light on the need to drastically revamp our outdated education system so it can be more focused on facilitating the proper development of a child's mental health, emotional intelligence, and all-around well-being as an individual, rather than just their academic performance and the regurgitation of facts as a student. If you haven't done so already, and depending on the platform in which you are listening, please be sure to subscribe, follow, like, share, comment, all that stuff. I hate that I sound like an influencer, but here we are. On all of our pages and posts, so together we can really help expand these conversations into more households and headphones. If you are joining us via YouTube, check out the description below, find all the applicable links and our social media handles. Be sure to follow us, subscribe, so on and so forth. And again, thank you for joining our conversation today. And with that said, I say let's get started. So first, I want to address the elephant in the room. I want to apologize for completely dropping off the map and for missing episode 4's deadline for the past 2 weeks. I truly hate missing deadlines, especially when it comes to this series, because not only do I feel as though I'm letting myself down, I also feel as though I'm letting you guys down. And for that, I do apologize. But the reasons behind why I wasn't recording and posting these past 2 weeks is exactly what I want to address in today's episode. And what that is the importance of taking big leaps of faith on yourself, but also knowing and acknowledging that those leaps will always be accompanied by a whole host of negative thoughts and self-doubt. And how that's not only okay, it's actually part of the process. Now, if you listened to my last episode, you already know that I decided to pick up my life after 11 years in LA and move back east to be not only closer to my family, but also to give myself a new, exciting chapter to look forward to. For so long, I've been desperately searching for that thing that was going to reignite my sense of purpose, as well as my pursuit of just really wanting to see and experience all that life has to offer. Now, I had a wonderful time in California, and I am truly grateful for all those who played a part in my decade-long story out there. But with hindsight being 2020, I can honestly say that the past couple of years, I have been feeling completely lost, as though I was just flailing through life with no true direction or purpose of being here. So, after losing 2 different jobs during COVID, I knew I needed to make a big change, and I finally realized the universe was forcefully telling me that this was my time. This was the moment that I had been waiting for so long. So I jumped, and I'm now very proud to call Nashville, Tennessee home. I'm also thrilled to report that I'm more excited and motivated for life than I have been in a very, very long time. But as great and exciting as this experience has been thus far, it hasn't come easy. I have missed the past few deadlines of recording and posting episodes because after the initial endorphin high from the move wore off, I was left completely exhausted, mentally, emotionally, and physically. After the first week or so, I began experiencing a lot of self-doubt and fear. I started to really wake up to the fact that I knew 2 people in the entire city, and they were both in relationships and living pretty well-established lives at this point. So I felt very alone, which was a stark contrast to how I was feeling just days before. So here I was now very confused and conflicted, and I didn't know what to believe. I was feeling weak and guilty for just not being able to maintain that same level of excitement and optimism that I originally had. I would walk the dog and pass by bars and restaurants where large groups of friends were all hanging out and enjoying each other's company, and I kept catching myself wondering if I would actually ever have that here. I never regretted the move itself because, as wonderful as California was to me, I knew it was time to move on. And so I wasn't exactly missing LA. It was more the sense of whether or not I could actually handle this change. I was starting to feel as though I tricked myself into thinking I was strong enough to go to a new city at age 28 and completely start my life over. But I was in it now. There wasn't any going back. I signed a year lease. I purchased a car. I was settled. It was over. I was now living in Nashville. I started to really worry that I was going to just fail. I thought I would embarrass myself in front of my friends and family, that I would never have the energy or the courage to step out of my comfort zone and just meet people. I wasn't just beating myself up mentally and wearing myself down emotionally, by giving into my self-doubt and negative thinking. But I was also just physically exhausted and unable to get into any sort of routine. I would nap in the middle of the day and therefore not sleep at night. I wasn't eating much because my sleep schedule was so messed up. I wanted to start going to the gym because the gym is a great place to meet people, but I didn't have the energy to do so. I was all over the place and simply unable to get much of anything done. So any sort of productivity throughout all aspects of my life, personal and professional, were at a complete standstill. I had very little quote unquote accomplishments to fall back on as a way of reassuring myself that this whole thing was a good idea in the first place. I wasn't being my biggest supporter right out the gate because I wasn't allowing myself time to actually acclimate and take whatever I needed to just recover. I set an unrealistic and unwarranted timeline on myself for really no reason at all. I was being so tough on myself and getting so frustrated with my so-called weakness and therefore inability to get my shit together and just start putting my time to good use that I was only making matters worse for myself. I was failing to recognize the fact that I had just gone through a lot of change in a short amount of time and that I just needed to be a little bit more accepting to what my body needed. I tell you all this because I think so many of us go through similar situations. We have an exciting life event that takes place or is about to take place. And in the beginning, it's all well and good and carefree and frankly intoxicating. But once the dust settles, we're left feeling alone and scared and maybe even stupid for thinking that we can actually rise to whatever situation we just put ourselves in. And I share my experience because I want to tell you that all of those feelings are normal. You are not alone with those emotions or whatever other emotions, that might accompany big change. What's really important at the end of the day is how you react and respond to those feelings of self-doubt and fear. I wasn't good to myself the first 2+ weeks when I was experiencing all this, and that's why I wasn't able to record and post episodes, because I just wasn't in a good place and I wasn't allowing myself to get to a good place. I was keeping myself stuck. I didn't want to put out an episode that was half-assed or depressing or, plain shitty. I will always give everything I have into each of these episodes and be as open and honest with you as possible. But I just needed to take some time to get myself together. I really just needed to be able to collect myself so I could record and put something out this week. So, again, if you are personally thinking about or currently in the process of making a big life change, I just want you to know that you are going to overthink it and second guess yourself either way, whether leading up to the leap of faith or after you've already jumped. So in my opinion, you might as well jump, because once you land, as long as you are kind and nurturing to yourself throughout that adjustment period, you are going to be so happy that you took that chance on yourself and on the life that you want to live. Personally, since I took a step back and I stopped putting so much pressure on myself, I've been so much happier. I've been able to truly appreciate the gamble that I took and the rewards that followed. I started sleeping better and getting into a more normal routine. I'm starting to eat more regularly, which is great, and going to the gym. I have made friends and gone on dates, and I've actually finally started to make significant headway in my new business venture, the Be Kind company. All that I wanted to achieve started the second I stopped forcing it upon myself and allowed just everything to take its time and fall into place. So I want you to remember to always be kind to yourself, especially when going through big life changes, and acknowledge that self-doubt and negative feelings that may be associated with such events are normal. And so don't worry that they're there. Just focus on how you respond to them, and be sure to always do what's best for you, even if that means taking a few naps. Now, I know today's episode is kind of short because that does it for today, but I really wanted to just kind of touch base with all of you and let you know kind of where I'm at and what's going on with me and why I've been MIA so far. So again, I thank you all for joining me and being a part of this brief but important conversation. I truly know that by continuing to open up to one another, we can and we will make a difference when it comes to normalizing conversations about mental health and illness. Now, moving forward, at least for the next few months, I will be posting episodes every other week instead of every week to allow myself time to continue to adjust to my new city, focus on getting my ducks in a row for launching the Be Kind company, as well as just being able to put myself out there and start building a life for myself. So with that said, the next episode will be released on April 25th. And I am so excited because this episode will actually be where I finally introduce to you the inspiration and the official focus of the Be Kind company. I know I've mentioned it a few times here and there, but this time I'm going to start kind of peeling back the curtain slowly and letting you know where I've gotten so far, what breakthroughs I've had, where I'm looking to go with it. And I hope that throughout this journey together, I bring you along with me as I build this company, because I think this is really something that will make a difference in the lives of countless children within this country and hopefully around the world one day. So again, thank you so much for joining today. As always, conversations need to be had, stigmas need to be shattered. So let's see what we can do together. Take care, and until next time, thanks so much. Oh, and don't forget to follow us and tag us on social media. Take care.